Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. And today's video, I am reacting to your Left 4 Dead 2 hot takes. This is a video series where I give you guys a platform to voice your thoughts and opinions about the Left 4 Dead 2 universe. And if you would like to participate in this series, you can always end up leaving a comment down below within this video, or you can also leave it within my Discord server, which is going to be linked down below in this video's description. Two quick things, by the way, as we're about to transition to the actual video. Number one, if you guys end up enjoying today's video, please drop a like. We have so far managed to maintain a really cool streak of getting over 100 likes within this video series every single episode. So if we can get another 100 likes within this episode, I'd be extremely grateful. And number two is that I also would like to make a small little announcement here at the end of the video. So make sure you guys stick around for the whole thing during the outro. Alrighty guys, let's read your Left 4 Dead 2 hot takes. The witch's old ability from the beta, where she kills everyone if not eliminated, should have been kept in the final game, because it makes her more of a challenging opponent like the tank already is. So I'm going to say both yes and no as my response to this hot take, because number one, I think that yes, in a perfect time and a perfect place, there is times where I feel like the witch could use a little bit more of like a buff and uniqueness with her abilities, but however, I don't want this in every single game mode. The reason why this feature was removed in the first place is because playtesters had an extremely hard time dealing with the witch when she was like this. It would make it where she would basically wipe out entire squads way too easily. So I would say that if somebody is a big Left 4 Dead fan and wants a challenge, this should just be its own unique mode, kind of like a mutation or something. Or maybe even perhaps this could be something that's in realism, because realism is the hardcore mode after all within Left 4 Dead. Why not make that game mode a little bit more unique by giving the special infected some cooler abilities within that said mode? This way everybody is happy, and if nobody wants to end up playing with this change, they don't have to. The Screamer infected should have not been cut, but continued to be developed into a kind of special infected that can be killed better with silenced weapons. A caveat to their existence is that they can only exist within maps that don't have alarmed cars. They are infected, meant to bring the infection to areas that are isolated. This way they can exist without being too similar to the witch or the car alarms. It would be nice to have another special infected and give more variety to the game. I understand where you're coming from, but it's always better to have a quality over quantity. And the reason why I say this is because there must have been a reason why this special infected was cut. I can't imagine that Valve would have put this in the game if it was going to be clunky and broken, because people would get mad and resent that special infected, whether you're playing as him or going up against him. And if my memory serves me correctly, I do also remember hearing somewhere a couple of times before in the past that the special infected was cut for a reason, because of the fact that he was too annoying to chase and end up killing when he kept running away from you. The closest we ever got to a modern day Screamer was, believe it or not, the Snitch from Back 4 Blood, and some people like him, but a lot of people do not. And that feels like a sign to me that if the Screamer was in Left 4 Dead, that people would feel the same way about him. Because this infected is meant to just sick hordes of zombies upon you repeatedly until you kill him. So imagine how annoying it would be to have a playthrough, you see a Screamer, and then he just goes off as soon as he sees you and screams his ass off repeatedly in a corner, and you're just being bombarded with endless horde after endless horde, because people don't already like that during like panic events. So imagine how annoying that would be if every couple of minutes a Screamer just was in the lobby and screaming his ass off, sicking hordes of zombies upon you. And even though I don't play Versus, I can't even imagine how boring that would be to play as a Screamer in Versus mode. Can you imagine all the other special infected? You get these cool abilities and you can attack the survivors, and the Screamer's job is basically just to go in a random corner by himself and then just scream his ass off. The Hunter's getting cool pounce kills, the Jockey's getting like squad wipes, and then here you are as the Screamer just with your thumb up your ass screaming. For balance purposes, God frames that make you invulnerable to spitter acid should be disabled in Versus. The game is tipped into the survivor's favor to begin with, which is likely by design so we can have heroes to relate to, but in a pure PvP setting, this makes no sense. So just for clarification's sake, in case any of you have never seen my prior videos, I'm not really keen on Versus. I really don't play it that much anymore, and I really never liked the toxic environment of it as it's gotten older, so I typically stay away from Versus nowadays. But from my experiences when I have played Versus before in the past, my perspective on the matter is that I believe that the Special Infected are the team that have the advantage, actually, not the Survivors. I feel like that the Special Infected, more times than not, have the game going in their favor. It does depend on the map sometimes, yes, but on average, the Special Infected have so much more wiggle room to set things up, whereas the Survivors do not. You can end up seeing all your teammates through walls as a Special Infected. You have significantly super strong abilities that you could very easily combo, even with the Common Infected if somebody gets trapped. I just think that the Survivors have to work more harder than the Special Infected to win the game. However, I do reasonably see your point, because God Frames, or basically invincibility, in a competitive mode typically is annoying no matter what team you're on. I have played multiple competitive games before for the last like 10 years, and one of the things that always annoyed me is that if I ended up getting a 1-up on a player or a team and they just got basically a freebie, if you will, spawn protection, the fact that they got a revenge spawn, or they just had something that was always able to just basically give them a free kill. And just to reiterate, I don't play a lot of Versus anymore. I really don't play a lot of competitive games anymore, but this doesn't sound like an unreasonable request. I think that if a player is just invulnerable for the sake of being invulnerable, that's going to piss someone off, especially if they're trying to set up a really skillful play and the game just decides to be like, oh, no, yeah, sorry, buddy, you can't have that kill, too bad. I do miss how the ammo system was handled in Back 4 Blood, and incentivized players to stick to a particular weapon type. I also kind of miss the weapon tier system, where as the maps get harder in Back 4 Blood, you had to scavenge for better weapons instead of grabbing an AK and never needing to swap IMO. So this is technically a Back 4 Blood hot take, yes, but I will allow it within the series because anything about Back 4 Blood is basically a hot take, and I like both games, so it's always going to be welcome here on this channel. Now here's the thing with this comment, is that this is a double-edged sword. Because, yes, it was nice to have it where people could pick a certain weapon class, but if the RNG was not in your favor, you would be literally screwed if you did not have that guns type of ammo. Because in Back 4 Blood, since you had to make the card deck such a crucial part of the gameplay loop, if you ended up having, like, let's say, a shotgun build, and you're out of shotgun ammo, you are completely and utterly screwed. You can't pick up an AK and even get remotely close to momentum. You will literally be just like a snail. You will be slow, sluggish, you're probably going to get easily killed. It is detrimental to you. And the harder the game gets, the more you up the difficulty, ammo gets very scarce in Back 4 Blood. The combination of having it where you can only pick up certain types of ammo in the overworld while already being restricted to a certain type of gun based off of your card deck, I believe this is one of the reasons why the card system did not work in Back 4 Blood. If Back 4 Blood had ammo stashes, like where you could just refill everything for all players the moment you hit E on it, like in Left 4 Dead, then maybe having a card deck be catered to a certain playstyle would have worked better. But without it, it just made it where Back 4 Blood struggled. If you are good at the game and speedrun, don't leave your teammates to die and just run to the safe room. Dude, bro, preach it louder for everyone in the back, because this is something I 100% agree with. Speedrunning is completely fine in solo, and if there's a mutual agreement between all teammates and you all want to do it at the exact same time, go ahead. But if you're in a versus game, or you're just playing, like, cooperative campaign, don't leave your teammates in the dirt. That's a dick move, dude, because literally you are leaving everyone to die. The only one that benefits from that is the person that is choosing to speedrun. The director even exists for a reason. It's trying to stop players from doing this. Does it stop them? No, they still try it anyways, but if the game is trying to stop you because the developers put it in because they knew that that was going to be something that was a bad idea, it was probably for a reason. The Jockey is the hardest Special Infected to kill. He has a small hitbox and has a large amount of health. See, I was originally not going to include this because I thought this was something that most players agreed with, but I saw a lot of thumbs up on this comment, which, by the way, guys, if you do see a comment you agree with, please give it a thumbs up, because when I see a comment that has a lot of thumbs up, that, as a content creator, tells me that a lot of you guys really end up agreeing with that comment, and you want to have it featured within the video. So if you see a comment you agree with, give it a thumbs up. As for the jockey, I have said this since day one of playing Left 4 Dead, that the jockey is way too overpowered. It's the only special infected, honest to god, I truly believe needs a nerf. This Ratface Reddit mod Diddler is one of the most annoying special infected to come across in my play sessions. I hate the jockey so much, dude. I have had an easier time crowning the witch on expert mode than I've had killing the jockey on something like, let's say, easy or normal. The jockey's hitbox is so unforgiving. You have anything less than 100% accuracy, the jockey is going to touch you. The Hunter 25 pounce damage cap was a measure for Left 4 Dead 1 Versus when the Hunters were present on every spawn cycle, and should be increased to 35 or 40 since the Hunter is more rare and 25 damage just isn't worth the effort of setting up. It was fun back in the day in Left 4 Dead 1 Versus to set up Hunter pounces that were going to give you extreme damage numbers, and it is a shame that it is nerfed in Left 4 Dead 2. They should raise it up just a bit because, yeah, 25 is not worth it sometimes. I would say that the Hunter is still one of the best special infected to play as, like right next to the tank and the Charger, but yes, I would like to see the Hunter be able to do at least a little bit more damage because it's a representation of skill in my opinion. If you have the patience and can get like this really cool like aerial attack, you should be rewarded for it. Pistols should only have unlimited ammo in easy and maybe versus. When I was younger, I absolutely loved the idea of unlimited ammo, but as I got older, it confused me. So since easy difficulty is like a tutorial, unlimited ammo for the pistols should only apply there. I don't play versus, but maybe add in there too. I'm going to lean more towards the single player aspect or the campaign aspect of your comments, rather than the versus part. So in terms of the normal game, yeah, this is very valid. I would say that easy mode should be really the only one that gets unlimited pistol ammo, because it really makes no sense. Especially with the fact that we have melee weapons in the second game now. Like, wouldn't you want to incentivize players to use the melee weapons more? Because from my experience, whenever I end up playing Left 4 Dead, more times than not, I'm going to pick up a Magnum versus any of the melee weapons. I like the fact that they have unlimited ammo, and to a certain degree I do use it as a crutch because I like to use the Magnum. It's basically like a shotgun in my pocket, and I just use it to pick off common zombies one by one, and then save my main gun for the bigger threats, such as the tank or the witch. With that being said, I feel like that if you end up making it where normal, advanced, and expert, you have to end up sparing your ammo, it's going to do two things. Number one, incentivize players to use the melee weapons more often because they can't just shoot an unlimited ammo gun all the time. And two, it makes players have to be careful and more accurate, leading to better player control. It means people are not going to recklessly spam, they're going to be more calculated, and it's going to therefore make players accurate and better. Not really a hot take, but a comic for the Left 4 Dead 2 cast would have been nice. What happened to them after? Is the military to be trusted after the parish? Also, what was the west coast of the Green Flu like? Maybe a third game can take place there? So believe it or not, we technically do have a Left 4 Dead 2 comic. It's just that it's not the one like the Left 4 Dead 1 survivors got. There's a game called the Zombie Army Trilogy, and it got a Left 4 Dead crossover, and to celebrate said crossover, there was a comic that was made that links these two universes. So if you're just in the mood to read like a comic and not necessarily trying to get something specific out of it, I recommend giving this a read because it's kind of fun. You would get a kick out of it. The Sacrifice campaign would have been better with the Left 4 Dead 2 survivors, taking place after they got air quote rescued by the helicopter at the parish, because the Left 4 Dead 2 survivors actually have story progression from Dead Center, and we can clearly see each of them has character development. It makes the sacrifice moment more impactful, especially Nick, who started as a jerk, but as the game progresses, he became to trust his own teammates and started to care about them. I can imagine Nick doing a sacrifice, and it would be a badass redemption arc. the parish also got a story behind it, especially where people got executed by the military. I would love to see Left 4 Dead 2, a game with a badass and fun vibe, went into a dark turn. I'm not talking about the first game, it already got dark vibes since the start of the level, and the sacrifice would be a good continuation after the parish, and that's what they get for not hearing Nick's suggestion to trust the military. Don't get me wrong, Bill's sacrifice is a good thing, but what makes it less impactful is because the first game wasn't supposed to have a story until they made the Sacrifice DLC, and you would have to read the entire comic to make his death scene more powerful. For those wondering about the passing, I think they could switch the scenarios and roles. The Left 4 Dead 1 survivors will be the ones who's asking to lower the bridge. It's as simple as that. Now, even though this comment was a tad long, I picked this for a good reason. That's because this comment has a lot of meat on its bones. There's so many different things that we could talk about when it comes to this comment, but I'm only going to pick the ones I feel like most of you are going to want me to respond to. So number 1, would I like a campaign where one of the Left 4 Dead 2 members sacrifice themselves? And if so, who would I believe would be the one to do it? So when it comes to this question, I would say that it's a yes and a no. I think the campaign would be good no matter what, but I do think it would be a little bit redundant and not have the same impact as the first one did, because all it would just be is more of the same. It would be a little bit of shock value and then quickly wear off, and then everything would be kind of just back to normal again. It just wouldn't hit the same. And in terms of characters, I don't think that Nick would be the one to sacrifice himself. I feel like it's more likely to be Coach, actually, because Coach, in my opinion, is the group leader. Not Nick, not Ellis, and not Rochelle, but Coach. Coach, through his dialogue and the way that everyone interacts with him, he is the leader. Through thick and thin, Coach has always been the one that steps up, and I feel like that if the time came where someone had to sacrifice themselves for the betterment of the team, Coach is more likely to do it, and not Nick. Not that he's incapable, I just think it would be more of a swerve because it just seems so unlike Nick. I would need more convincing before I would expect Nick to be the one to canonically sacrifice himself, because Nick is not exactly like Francis. Some people are very close to Nick, but they are not the same. This is the way I look at it. Nick definitely does lighten up as the story goes on, but he's still a jerk. So, in terms of Francis, I feel like that Francis is kind of like that, haha, you know, I'm your best friend, I'm going to poke fun at you, call you names, and annoy you, kind of like a brother figure, if you will. Francis is just an ass. But Nick is an asshole. Nick goes out of his way to intentionally hurt people's feelings. He intentionally tries to be a dick. I mean, just look at his track record. More times than not, Nick is rude and just a jerk to people whenever he talks to them. Now yes, Nick also can be nice. I have seen dialogue such as the one where he interacts with Francis and basically says sorry for your loss, referring to Bill, but that's not as common as you think it is. It's very, very rare. I feel like for me personally, for me to believe, honest to God, that Nick would be the one to sacrifice himself, there would have to be a Left 4 Dead 2 comic very similar to the first one, and then also Nick's dialogue would have to drastically change in the campaign he's actually sacrificing himself in. He can't go around basically telling Ellis to shut up and being a dick to Rochelle and trying to boss Coach and then be like, yeah, I'm gonna go sacrifice myself. And then referring to the part where you're talking about Left 4 Dead 1 not having a story, I don't necessarily think that that's true, dude. I do believe that that was the intention from the very beginning. It might have not been, like, right away, but I feel like that the game was destined to get there somehow. I think that Left 4 Dead 1 was the game to do it in. I think if you saved it for Left 4 Dead 2, it wouldn't have worked out as well. The Left 4 Dead 1 campaigns were just so much more gritty and dark and ruthless, and that bittersweet ending made more sense for that game. It would just feel left field to have that happen in Left 4 Dead 2, where it's a little bit more upbeat, just based off of the characters' interactions with each other, to ultimately just have one of them die. It feels like when you would watch a Netflix movie and the main character dies just because. And then lastly, when it comes to the part about having the Left 4 Dead 1 crew talking to the Left 4 Dead 2 crew about them lowering the bridge, that just wouldn't make sense for the way that the story flows, because they're at basically where they need to be by the end of the sacrifice, the Left 4 Dead 1 crew. Their story is already done by the end of the sacrifice, and to switch the roles, you would have to have some either retconning about how the story goes, an alternate timeline where the roles are switched, or you would have to do just something that would make it make sense, because just swapping the roles like that with no explanation would not make sense. You want to know what would work better, in my opinion? Like, this is on the spot, but let me cook. Trust me, you'll like this idea. I'm just thinking of this right now. Imagine that you're playing the passing campaign, and they basically tease you that the sacrifice is going to happen again, because think about it. How likely is it that those generators are going to break twice? Why would they all of a sudden be operational again? It would make no sense in a world where basically everything is starting to wear and wither, that bridge would all of a sudden be fixed. If it broke before, why would it not break again? So if the Left 4 Dead 2 crew is trying to escape, imagine if the bridge somehow messed up on them, and all 7 survivors, Zoe, Francis, Lewis, Coach, Nick, Rochelle, and Ellis, are all trying to fight together, and in the back of Zoe, Lewis, and Francis's mind, they're like, oh no, it's happening again, and they have to work together to, without them knowing what exactly happened to Bill, but they can just assume based off of seeing his body, prevent another travesty, trying to prevent another sacrifice from happening. And Valve could basically drag this out for so long. They could milk this. They could make the story play out with a dynamic event or something where it looks like somebody is going to sacrifice themselves, and then all of a sudden everything goes right and everyone does make it out alive. It would be that climactic event that I feel like would catch someone more by surprise than rather than just doing the sacrifice again. That would be more of a shock, and that would be a rewarding shock. Basically dick teasing the sacrifice happening twice and then having a good ending all of a sudden when you thought everything was going to go to shit, that would be more cool. They can make it happen where, like, let's say the bridge won't come down. Like just say it's blocked and 3 tanks or something like that is coming down again, and all 7 basically have to stall for time, and then the last possible second, the bridge will finally open up, and only then could you leave. Something like that would be better of an ending than what we actually got, honestly, because the passing felt like it was just missing something. It felt like it needed just one last thing to happen before you could escape. Just being able to all of a sudden leave and have everything work this time just didn't feel right to me. And so if they teased the sacrifice, that would have been the play. That, in my opinion, would have been the way you ended the passing campaign and gave a satisfying conclusion to not only the Left 4 Dead 1 cast, but the Left 4 Dead 2 cast, because sure, it doesn't take place at the end of the timeline, it would be sort of towards the beginning. But if you did swap things around and you did want to make that, like, let's say, the last campaign, or if you just wanted to have it where we ran to the Left 4 Dead 2 crew, the Left 4 Dead 1 crew again, and this happened on a different map, we could do that too. Some zombies look like they would be named Travis. Not exactly a hot take, but I wanted to include that in the video just because I thought it was funny. Anyways, guys, this has been me reacting to your Left 4 Dead 2 hot takes once again. I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. And as we wrap up the video, guys, basically the thing I wanted to mention here really quickly is what I ended up doing recently for 7,000 subscribers. Just recently, I ended up making a second YouTube channel. It is called Black Ninja 797 Extras, and on this second channel, I'll be posting different types of content that you would not normally see on this main channel. And one of the videos that I would like to make for the second channel, in addition to the 7 that are already on there, is another Q&A video. I have not done a Q&A video in like 3 years, and I really would like to do another one again, because I used to do them like once a year and then I got away from them, and there's so many new subscribers that have joined us with, not even within years, but like months. I would love to meet all of you and have you get to know me. So if you guys have a question in any way, shape, or form for me, just leave it here within the comments down below or within my Discord server in the Q&A tab, and I will try to answer as many questions as I possibly can for you. I think this could be really, really fun. So yeah, guys, one last time in case I had not said it already, if you guys have enjoyed today's video, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. Leave a question if you want to participate in the Q&A. Leave a hot take if you want to be in the next Hot Takes episode. And I hope you guys end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the Eternal God Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!